Good morning, everybody. Pastor Matt. I am thankful to be here with you this morning on this December 6th morning. It's hard to believe we are now in the last little batch of services for the year. Very grateful for that. And so over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be looking at some very familiar Christmas passages. But even in the midst of that, there's always something new that tends to arise. And it had been a while since I had really thought about this. So I'm in the middle of studying from Matthew 1:18 to 25. And there is a quote from Isaiah 7:14. So you go back, Isaiah 7, Isaiah 6, 7, 8, you begin to look through all of the context of there. And I thought of one thing that's here. And I saw one thing that's here that I believe is something that is so critical for the church to understand, and maybe one of the reasons why the church is not being what God has called it to be is because we're wearying him. Now, the idea of Isaiah 7 was a reminder about how, well, Ephraim, one of the tribes of Israel, had gotten in cahoots with Syria, and that was making the king a little nervous. What does this mean? How are we going to be able to stand tall? God is reminding him through Isaiah that, look, you're my people. I'm not going to let you go. And I need you. I need you to trust in me, and you will see my glory. In fact, if you keep going, in the last half of Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 9, if you're not firm in the faith, you will not be firm at all. And so then it goes into verse 10. Again, the Lord spoke to Ahaz, ask a sign of the Lord your God. Let it be deep as Sheol or as high as heaven. So God is inviting Ahaz, ask whatever you need. Ask whatever you're needing. I will hear and I will do. And what does Ahaz say? Ahaz feigns humility here. I will not ask and I will not put the Lord to the test. Now that sounds humble, but what's happening? Well, what's happening here is God told him to do something. And Ahaz says, I'm not going to do that. Now so when God is saying, I'm going to ask for a sign, ask for a sign. Okay? Verse 13, hear then, O house of David, is it too little for you to weary men that you may weary God also? I don't know how God was reacting in heaven. I just know that if I'm telling my children, ask this of me. Oh my goodness, really? I have given you an invitation to ask a sign of me. Do it. Do it. And so the sign that is given that was going to be fulfilled immediately, where a young woman was going to have a child. Ultimately, the word is a virgin will conceive and bear a son. You shall call his name Emmanuel, which would be fulfilled in Matthew 1:18 to 25. That was the connection here. But I'm just wondering if, again, we are drawing from our own wells, which is actually what the sermon's going to be about. Joseph was one who was coming along and he's saying, as he considered these things, Joseph had a situation on his hands, and by his own instinct and by his own experience and by his own upbringing, he was evaluating that situation, which was Mary having a child, saying, okay, she must have been unfaithful. The due course of the law is due her. I'm not going to do it, but he's considering what he has to do. He is recognizing that there is a situation there. And again, the decision that he could have made to put her to death, that's the law of the land back then. The decision that he made back then would have been celebrated, pat you on the back, thank you for being so faithful. What we need is a revelation from God. And I'm not talking about anything that's extra biblical. I mean, we need to get into the Word, and by the Spirit, He leads us and shows us through revelation how to deal with our situation. Do you see what's happening? That's what we have to recognize. Because if we don't, then we're just going to simply go by our, as Rod Dreher says, our instincts and experiences and upbringing and such, and we're going to be pulling from the wrong well. And because of that, when we get a revelation about our situation, when God shows us how to think and how to be in the midst of that situation, there will be clarity, but there also needs to be from us submission. But we can't be wearying God by not following through on what he has said in his word. He's given us his word. And when he tells us, follow what I'm saying, no, I can't do that. It's going to be too hard. People are going to be upset. This is going to be a problem. No, 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 no. We still move forward with what God has called us to do. And that way we won't be wearied. Others won't be wearied. God won't be wearied. We will be able to move forward where we're ready to follow through on what he has said, looking clearly at our situation based upon his revelation. All right. So that's the morning. I'm excited about being able to celebrate Lord's Supper with everyone this morning, whether in person or digitally. So thankful that we can do this together. Well, I hope that wherever you are, whether you're going to come to ARBC or whether you're going to another place of worship, I pray that you encounter Christ, and pray for your pastor that he makes much of Jesus. All right. That's it for the day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.